This is Pete Fletzer. On this episode of Around the Galaxy, we're talking to former NFL player and now musician and comedian Joe Barksdale. I'm hoping that my show goes a little bit beyond Star Wars, and this went way beyond it, which is awesome.
Okay, yeah, we started out on Dagobah, we ended in Georgia.
You're listening to Around the Galaxy.
Welcome to episode number 127 of Around the Galaxy, the Star Wars fan talk show. I am your host, Pete Fletzer. Thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first visit with Around the Galaxy, well, welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy the ride, and if you're a return visitor, thank you so much for coming back. You know that every week on Around the Galaxy, we talk to celebrities and authors and personalities and actors and superfans about their Star Wars journey. And, you know, the goal of Around the Galaxy really is to open the door on a conversation between myself and my guest, and it's usually the very first time I'm meeting them. And I want to let you in on that discussion that starts, you know, with a shared love of that galaxy far, far away. And I say it starts there because one of the great things about this show is literally I have very little preconceived notion about where it's going to go. And this week, we are talking to Joe Barksdale, and never before has that been more true. Now, you may or may not know his name, but he was an offensive tackle in the NFL who, after he retired, decided to become a musician and a comedian. And his Star Wars connection is that his first album, or one of his first albums, was called the Kyber Tapes, and you'll find the link in the notes to the show. And it was recorded with a previous Around the Galaxy guest, impressionist Kevin Cabral. Joe is a lifelong Star Wars fan. He is also autistic, and he's very open about his challenges with mental illness. He's also one of the funniest guests we've ever had on the show. So we tackle some real issues, and we take it from his point of view. I want to let you know the language is uncensored in this episode. The conversation is very real, and the interview does at times go a little off the rails, but I hope you enjoy it. I really, really enjoyed this conversation with Joe. As I said at the top, we want to let you in on these conversations, and we have another way to do it. If you become a member of Around the Galaxy, even at our entry level of just $3 a month, you're going to get access to a link to the live video stream of each show as we record it. You'll be part of the live virtual audience. We monitor your chat as we roll, and as you'll hear in this episode, we often respond to and react to your questions and comments. So if you want to be a part of it, all you got to do is head on over to atgcast.com and click the Join ATG button, or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/ATGcast. One more thing before we get started, please hit the subscribe button so you'll get this show in your podcast feed every Tuesday, and on Saturday, you'll get our 5-minute Star Wars news show called Disturbances in the Force. Follow us on all your social media channels at ATGcast. Rate this episode on whatever podcast outlet you listen to, and if you feel up to it, please leave a short review. It really does help us out so much. And now, without further ado, our conversation with Joe Barksdale. Joe, thank you so much for joining me, man. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well.
So for the people who may not have been fortunate enough to hear your story, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us, first, introduce yourself and give us a little bit about your background.
My name is Joe. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I got a wife and 2 kids, 2 Dobermans also. I do, in terms of music, singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, producer. And outside of music, I also do comedy. I cook. I'm taking acting lessons. I'm autistic and mentally ill.
And you are, you have this huge spectrum of stuff that you do, which is so interesting. One of the reasons I was excited to get an opportunity to talk to you, and you can't forget. And I know that you don't spend a lot of time talking about it, but you know, you were at LSU. You were drafted in the NFL. You played a couple seasons in the NFL, and you've gone on off into music. And the reason we got connected is because you're not only you're a musician, but one of your first forays into music was a dip into Star Wars with Kevin Cabral, who was actually a guest on our show. Let's just start a little bit with your Star Wars journey. You grew up in Detroit. Tell me your first exposure to Star Wars.
I was pretty young. I know this because I think the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters was A New Hope. It was the first Star Wars movie I'd ever seen, but it was A New Hope. They were doing a bunch of replays of the original trilogy in preparation for the prequel trilogy at the time. Like Phantom Menace was coming out around that time. I think I was really young when Phantom Menace came out. So that was the first movie I saw. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before, and I've been down with it ever since. The first movie, touched on it lightly, but just the whole Sith and Jedi history and the story of that throughout the years of the generations, and learning more about them in particular is what really pulled me in. Especially seeing cats like Darth Vader on screen for the first time was pretty cool.
Yeah. It sounds like you have kind of a unique Star Wars experience in that you're a Star Wars original trilogy, but then the prequel trilogy hit around, you were in sort of that prime age. You growing up with the prequels, how did they impact you versus, say, the original trilogy? Because you actually got them both at kind of the same time.
Yeah, it felt connected to me because I was just looking, this is when I was a little kid. I wasn't a film critic or anything like that. I was just following the story. And so from the story continuation standpoint, or the story synergy, that was easy for me to follow, and just, pulling from it, because nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect. Right. You pull from it the concepts and things that you identify with, and the things that you don't, you just let them be. And that's always been my relationship with it. I've never... I'm not gonna sit here and say that, like, I'm in love with what happened with the sequel trilogy, because I'm not. But at the same time, I mean, the sequel trilogies also gave us Kylo Ren, which is like my second favorite character of all time in Star Wars. So, like I said, nothing's perfect. I take from it the things that I dig, and the things I don't dig, I just let them be.
You read the Joe Barksdale Wikipedia entry. It starts with the musician, but you can't skip the football player part. And that was a big part of your life. But to be so committed to music and creativity and arts through whether it's comedy or music, do you think Star Wars influenced that? Or do you think being that type of person, having that in your being, kind of drew you to something in Star Wars?
I think it's a little bit of both. If I'm saying one more than the other, it's the latter.
Yeah.
Me being who I am, drawing me to Star Wars. Because like you said, you find a lot of artists that have deep relationships with it. And Star Wars is, it's not nothing, but Star Wars is nothing more than someone else's art. On a certain level, I think it's an artist admiring art that they, that may be cathartic for them, may have therapeutic properties, or, may unlock some things that you don't even address in your own life, concepts, philosophical thoughts that maybe you normally wouldn't think about. It also influenced me, as it influenced my art in terms of like the Kyber Tapes that I did with Kevin Cabral, or the way that I approach, making things in general. I mean, I've always, said about my music, I don't want people to feel the way when they hear my music, the way that I felt when I first saw my first Star Wars movie. Like, this is nothing nothing I've never seen before, but something I've always wanted to, or in my case, something you never heard before, but you've always wanted to hear. And so in little ways like that, as well as like in big ways, like I said, you make projects dedicated to
I was on an online, I think it was a Twitter space, and they were talking about podcasts, and I met somebody and talked about my Star Wars podcast, and they said, you got to speak to Joe Barksdale. He did this thing called the Kyber Tapes. And so I went to Spotify, and first of all, I'm not just saying this because you're a guest. I'm saying it because I'm a Star Wars fan. If you're listening to this show, you got to go find those. The link will be in the notes, because it's this really, I'm going to call it sort of, some of it's like a little bit of electric soul. Some of it is like almost soundtracky. Some of it's, just there's a lot of feel and vibe to it. But at the same time, you worked with Kevin Cabral, who's the impressionist who did a number of voices. And what I love about it is he didn't just pull lines from movies, right? You didn't just take things. You almost created a story. And there's the one that I like, and I can't remember the name of it, and I apologize, but you can probably tell me which one it is. But the one where Anakin and Kylo are talking, and it's like, that's a scene that I wanted to see in the movie. How did you come up with all that? Where did that come from, and what inspired you to do that? And tell me about working with Kevin a little bit.
I had the idea for it, and I met Kevin, I was introduced to Kevin through social media. I saw him doing some impersonations, and I'm like, oh, this would be perfect. I don't know if it's impersonations or impressions. Either way, this would be perfect for the Star Wars project that I have in my mind. And when I wanted to do it originally, like before I met Kevin, it was going to be very dark side, like synth focused, all that kind of stuff. Kevin actually coming in and helping out has brought it back to the neutrality that it has now, which I think is fantastic. And we pretty much talked about how we each saw the project. We wanted to come up with instruments for each character. So like Obi-Wan's instruments were like brassy horn type things, whereas like Sidious had those insidious strings and orchestral soundscapes. It's a thing they say in film, like, show don't tell. We wanted to, kind of like give you the feeling, and this is kind of the same thought process. We wanted to show and not tell. And it was pretty much Star Wars from our points of view. I mean, those statements and thoughts, they came from conversations that we had with each other. And like I said, Kevin did a fantastic job. He's a fantastic job doing so many different voices. And not just doing the voices, but bringing the proper emotion and inflections and things like that too. So I would say it's really, more than anything, it was based in emotion and then built around Kevin and I's each unique experiences with Star Wars and the Force, that kind of thing.
It like I said, I think that must be why I got that sort of cinematic feel from it, because it's telling the story from different perspectives, and it's really you let the instruments do the talking sometimes, and that's really cool.
Music's been a part of my life since I was born. Growing up in the inner city of Detroit, Michigan, going to church every Sunday and sometimes Sunday nights and Wednesdays and Thursdays. But music is a huge part of the community that I come from.
Sure.
And then on top of that, you got all the Motown artists. Marvin Gaye.
Oh yeah, I mean, being from Detroit, yeah.
So you almost overwhelmed with music at an early age, and for me, because a lot of people, they're overwhelmed with the same amount of music, but they gravitate to this, gravitate to that. I dug everything. So being open to that, opened me up to a lot of different influences. I wanted to play. I sang in the church choir. I wanted to play in a jazz band, so I started playing saxophone. But in order to play saxophone in the school band, I had to play violin for a year, just so they could see that I was serious about it. So I've been doing music. Actually, my wife, we went to middle school together, and we actually played in the band together.
Oh, awesome!
I just randomly remembered that as we were talking. Oh yeah, we did used to play together. But she stuck with the violin. Not anymore. She doesn't play anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been doing music. In fact, I wanted to continue music when I tried out for this jazz band right before I got out of middle school, going into high school. I didn't get into the jazz band. It really hurt my feelings. Like it really hurt. I think looking back on it, I know some of it's the autism, but like, you get rejected once, you're not trying to get rejected again. You just stop. And I got to high school and I told myself I was going to start playing again in college. Football came around in high school. So I didn't get to play again in college. And I had this very significant death in my life in 2014. And that's when the music came back.
This is Jason Fry. You're listening to Around the Galaxy.
Do you find that the music helped you in some of the transitions in your life? You said there was a tragedy in your life that kind of brought it back. Has it always have been there for the good and the bad? Has it kind of been your bridge through different things?
Oh yeah, music is my sonic journal. When it comes to I store my memories in music. I mean, that's not to say I don't keep a journal. I'm not trying to sound like some mystic fucking being from another planet, but sometimes I feel that way. And I mean, some people refer to autism as like they call it like other planet syndrome or something like that. But music, whenever people weren't able to understand what I was trying to say, there was always a song that got my point across. Along with I don't just hear the music, like I can feel it too. And I think that those two things definitely led to me, like I said, keeping, turning them. I mean, I store my memories in music, like cut a song on that I dig and I can tell you, what I was really, what it reminds me of, what I was really feeling when I heard it the first time, what I listen to it for now, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's I mean, I hate silence. I mean, one of my autistic stems is to bob my head, even though there's no music playing. I've always loved music.
You referenced autism and some of the mental health issues, and you also, with music, What role has Star Wars played in that? Have you used Star Wars as kind of as one of those tools to help you to work your way through some of the challenges you might face sometimes?
Oh yeah, that's why these lightsabers are on the wall.
Wow, that is a collection, man.
Oh, there's a bunch more over here. I mean, there's a bunch more over there actually. But
making my two look like they don't mean a thing.
That's all I collect, though. Like,
okay.
All I have are lightsabers because that's, like I said, that's what I gravitated toward. It was the Sith in particular, but you know, the Force users. I mean, don't get me wrong, Star Wars is cool and all that, but like, I don't know if I'm not as interested in Star Wars if there are no Jedi, no Sith,
right?
No Force wielders. So,
right.
Yeah, I know some people turn their nose up at that, but that to me is like the most impactful part. You know?
Yeah. I think that's what makes Star Wars so universal is the fact that some people loved Rogue One, for example, because there was such a limited number of like the Force was a minor part of it. And it was a true war movie, right? Star Wars. It was that piece of it. Some people dig it just for the science fiction piece of it. Some love the mysticism and the magic and that's what's so amazing about Star Wars is it literally has something for everyone. I always reference here on the show, I have an 8-year-old son and he's all in on Clone Wars. Like the Jedi thing is cool, but like that's his thing, man. He loves the troopers. That's his.
The Clone Wars is the perfect combination of everything. And it's funny because it started as like a throwaway line. Oh, I knew your dad in the Clone Wars, but like the Clone and that TV series brought all that together. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was. I mean, why isn't Dave Filoni directing a Star Wars? I don't understand. Because the Clone Wars came out before those sequel trilogies. I don't understand. There was no plan. You put hundreds of millions of dollars into something you don't have a plan. You could have gave me that money. No. But yeah, like I think I've been a huge Dave Filoni fan before I even knew that he directed Clone Wars because I also love like Avatar, the show that he came from.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Why hasn't he directed a movie? I heard Taika Waititi's directing one, so that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of his too. I try not to get emotionally involved, but sometimes I do.
Well, I'm hoping that he's had 2 or 3 episodes of The Mandalorian, so maybe they're grooming him to give him that.
What are we waiting for? I mean, what are we waiting for? You grooming him for what? Ray Skywalker? Oh, okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Joe, you seem to be very passionate about this, and it's important. That's good.
I'm very passionate about it. I try to be cool, but like, you know how it goes, man. Certain things are just so obvious that it's like, why isn't this happening? So
what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on? I mean, you sort of tipped your hand a little bit on sequels, which is fine. I don't, that's also such a hot topic. I tend to be a little bit cagey about getting into that with people because some people love it, some people like me. I'm like 50-50 on the whole thing, and I have strong opinions on some of it and not on others. But what are your thoughts on things like Mandalorian? I mean, again, such Filoni influence. How did that show strike you as a fan?
So I'm gonna take it back to the sequels real quick.
You're not gonna let me let that go, are you, Joe? This is on you, by the way, at this point. If it goes down, it's
that's fine. My thoughts on the sequels, and this is just like these are my real thoughts. It hurt my feelings when I heard that there was no plan. And it's we got 3 different directors and we're just throwing it out into the wind because, I obviously have an emotional connection to this. Sure. And I'm offered, I get it. We live in a capitalist economy. You got to make money, but we can at least make a good movie while we're making money. Sorry, not a good movie, a cohesive trilogy. Let me say that. I don't understand. I just don't understand how you come out with that much money and there's no plan. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I invested a small fraction of that into my music career and there was a plan. It wasn't like, I'm starting learning how to play guitar. Here's $100,000. I'm Bill Skywalker. Okay, but so that was my beef, that there was no cohesive plan.
Like you said, even when you're making an album, you're going to go in with a particular plan for the style and which musicians you're going to be using and where you're going to take it. Is it going to be like a concept or is it going to be a theme or whatever? You got to put all that together. Yeah.
Are you going to take a stormtrooper and turn him into someone who's fighting the stormtroopers and then put him on the cover until you go to China and then you take him off the cover? like that kind of hurt my feelings too.
Yeah.
The way that they handle Finn, like as a black man, like as someone that looks like me, to see, that kind of hurt too.
Sure.
And to hear his to hear John Boyega's interviews and hear how hurt, especially because he was such a big fan of Star Wars too. And I think more than anything, when you talk about the trilogies, the sequel trilogy, that's what pisses me off the most. Like, you've legitimately taken someone who was a diehard fan, and now when you hear him in the interview, it's just like, fuck Star Wars.
No, and I you can totally understand it as well, right? Because of the way it feels like it was, again, without a plan.
Yeah, there was no plan.
You could have ended Rise of Skywalker and then come back in 2 years with maybe Dave Filoni directing, Finn and Rey doing their thing, and that would be awesome. You're now in a phase of Star Wars. It's been around for 40 plus years. So you have the people making Star Wars who are Star Wars fans, right? It's like if you or I had an opportunity to do anything on the Star Wars films, it would be, we would be so excited. And so you take Boyega and you put him in the film and you make him, one of the three leads, and then sort of let that character fade. It's disappointing. And, I could go all day about the Rise of Skywalker with him saying, Rey, I have something to tell you. And then he didn't tell us, man. I'm still bummed about that, to be honest.
Because there was nothing for him to tell us. They were just trying to keep you interested. I mean, we could start some fan fiction, like, oh, Ray, I have something to tell you. There's a whole new, group of not medium, but line walking Force users. They're not dark side, they're not light side, and I've joined them. Yeah, I just came up with that.
They can run with it. Let's call Filoni. We'll get him on the phone. Dave, we got your story.
Dave, don't worry about who this is or how we got your number. Just listen.
I don't want to freak you out, but
I'm sure the 50th people that have called today, but we have the answers.
We figured it out. I could see it, like episode 10, written by Joe Barksdale. There it is. It's like it's gonna happen. Or maybe story by, right? You don't want to have to write the whole script.
You just say observed by Joe Barker. I'm one of those people. I'm gonna talk a whole bunch of shit and then sit back when they ask for help. Would you like to help? Oh, no.
I'm an idea guy.
I just want to talk bad about you. I would love to help though. But once again, the Boyega thing, because someone asked me about that the other day, like, with the music and the comedy and all that. Because people that I look up to, like Bill Burr, they've been in featured in Star Wars things. Like, is that something you'd ever want to do? And I'm like, honestly, man, not anymore. Because I would hate to have an experience like John's. Because I know I'm however angry he is, and I know I'm way more petty and angry.
So you said Bill Burr. I think Bill Burr's hilarious. I've seen him perform a couple times, and I hesitate to go here, but I'm going to go anyway. What are your thoughts on like the whole Gina Carano thing? Because Bill Burr gets put into a similar. People are like, Bill Burr's got a very abrasive sense of humor, and he's where he is, and he's excellent at what he does, and he's, like I said, he's one of my favorite comedians. But people say, well, he says things that go against the establishment or whatever. And Carano does a couple tweets and pisses off a lot of people. And honestly,
so I don't read the news.
Okay, you're better off for it, Joe.
So I heard she was removed, but I don't know why. I have an opinion on it. I just want to make sure I'm well informed before I say my opinion. I think that was some bull. Well, Joe, she kidnapped children. Like, I didn't know that. Like,
no, she had some commentary on the presidential election that was supportive of the fixed election concept that was being pushed. She was anti-mask during a time when we were sort of in the midst of things. She also had she took issues with trans people again, but it wasn't.
That's the holy trinity of I don't want my job. Jesus, I thought it was just going to be one of those things. I don't want my job. Okay, I'm sorry. I would say this.
But I will say this because people will give me a hard time. You should, I was gonna say you should don't bother researching it. It's all a done deal at this point. But it's interesting because people got so upset because somebody who had, we could, if we take one of that Holy Trinity, and the fact that she was her contract wasn't renewed. So she wasn't actually fired, but fired makes a much better headline. Her contract wasn't renewed, and people are saying it's because she went against sort of that Hollywood authority, that Hollywood perspective on what you should be doing. And
I think anytime, and I mean, you can look throughout history, which is why we revere so many people in history that stood up for whatever they believed in and why. And, like Martin Luther King, that's one of the reasons, because we look back on it now like, oh, what a brave man. But when these people had dogs sicked on them, crosses burned on their front lawns, family members kidnapped, I'm just trying to vote,
yeah, that
kind of thing. So, but what you're about to say is going to be controversial before you even say it. So let's start with that.
Right.
I just feel like whenever you start talking about, okay, I'll use myself as an example. Regardless of how anybody else feels about NFL players taking knees during the national anthem, I'm not sitting here saying I took a knee during the national anthem. I am sitting here saying that those NFL players, I can't speak for all of them, but most of them, they did the research. They spoke to Marines and other military members who fought for the same freedoms that people are trying to take from them, But they knew, okay, if I do this protest, I'm speaking out against something I really believe in. I may lose my job. Guess what? People lost their jobs for taking knees. As someone who protested during the national anthem, I knew that, hey, I may lose my job, but I'd rather lose my job than someone that looks like me losing their life because of whatever reason, or just let's just say someone in general losing their life. Because, people, well, what if it's not someone like you?
Right.
Well, it's not someone like me. And that's why we're taking the knees in the first place. I've never seen a cop put a knee on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while everyone else stands around. That ain't black. That's all I'm saying. When I was ready to speak up about it, I knew that I may lose my job, but it was more important to me than my job. And that's part of that freedom of speech piece, right? Like you got the freedom, but there's going to be consequences to anything, So whenever you're ready to speak up about something controversial, the same way those cats like Martin Luther King Jr., those cats are ready to die. Yeah. So you damn sure better be ready to lose your job.
Mm-hmm. Let me bring it back to Gina Carano in this case. To reconcile it in a way, whatever it was that she was willing to tweet about, which is a lot different than standing at the front of a line where people have guns, by the way. That's a different story. But to tweet about it, to believe in as batshit crazy as I think her perspectives were, if I'm hearing you right, that she did that knowing she was going to lose it. She's got to deal with it, right?
I'm not saying she knew she was going to lose her job, but I'm saying if you're going to talk about anything controversial, don't just think you're going to go to sleep and wake up and everything's going to be the same.
And it's that sort of risk you take, right? If you're willing to, if it's something that you care that much about, you got to be willing to accept whatever the consequences are in that field. If you work for Disney and you're going to get out there and be anti-mask or compare being a Republican to being Jewish during Nazi Germany as she did.
What?
Stay off of Star Wars Twitter, man. You're so much better off. Trust me. It's a weird world.
I'm not gonna lie to you. If I'm Jewish, that alone is like, oh, you gotta get the fuck out. What?
No kidding, man.
That's just like when women are like, Karen is just as bad as saying the N-word. The fact that you won't say the N-word lets me know that it's not as bad as saying the N-word.
They don't call it the K word, Joe.
Yeah. No one was ever lynched and it's like, oh, that dirty Karen. Like, no, that's never happened. I understand you feel attacked. I understand you feel like you need some defense. And I'm going to tell you to just go to your room and pray because you're not going to get it from these people you tweet to. All right? Go talk to Jesus. Like, don't talk to me.
But you're not wrong. But that's the whole thing. It's like, and I think maybe that's the weird thing in the Star Wars connection here, right? I'm going to try to pull it around back somehow there, but it's, I don't know how I'm going to do it, Joe. I don't know how I'm going to get there now. Like, we're not off the rails. We're like, we went off the hill. We're like rolling down. Cars going to explode.
Those are the movies that people watch. People don't watch the movie where you just stay on the rails. Oh, this is fantastic.
Joe right now is going to go talk to his guy and be like, why did you have me on this podcast, man? We did not talk Star Wars for more than 5 minutes before the guy went nuts on me.
This is Scott Chernoff, and you're listening to Around the Galaxy with Pete.
Your entertainment is always going to be influenced by the world, right? I mean, your music is influenced by your personal world, but it's also, stuff you're listening to, stuff that's impacting you. Good movies have some sort of connection to the real world, and so you don't need to be hit over the head with whatever that message is, but it's in there, right? I mean, Star Wars, it's in there. It's making you think about good and evil, whether, it's true or not that George tied it to the Vietnam War or not,
But that's the thing. The Vietnam War influenced a lot of great art during that time.
Oh, man, yeah.
Marvin Gaye's What's Going On?
Yeah.
Vietnam War. Richard Pryor was doing his comedy. Dick Gregory. What's my man's name? Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just saying that to say maybe it was.
But it probably, I mean, George has said it. He's on record as having said it, but it's that point that it is Star Wars right now is there's this group of Matthew, who's actually watching us, one of our patrons right now. He says, ask Joe his thoughts on gatekeepers. So people who have this belief that, hey, this is my Star Wars, new Star Wars is bad because it's ruined my childhood, that kind of concept. You didn't love all the sequels, clearly. I mean, we just talked a little bit about some of those issues. Does it change your opinion of Star Wars and or people who are fans of the sequels? Do you look at them any differently?
No, I mean, but when it comes to gatekeepers, I'm a big believer that there's going to be assholes everywhere, and you got to surround yourself with the right kind of people. You know what I mean? Because like you're someone that I would obviously talk Star Wars with. I'm not getting on social media and what you guys do? First of all, because I don't care. Second of all, because of that, like people that try to ruin everybody else's fun because they don't like what's going on. Most of those people, they're probably birthday month people. April's my birthday month, and from April 1st to April, we're gonna celebrate. And it's like, but anyway, that's what I think it is. It's like, I don't like this. You shouldn't like this. We don't like this. And it's like, nah, you don't like this,
right?
Like if someone was talking bad about tequila, I'm not going to stop drinking. Being a gatekeeper is just as stupid as saying, look at that guy's skin color. I don't like him because of it. It's just as stupid.
Yep.
Like you think about it, like as I'm saying it, like that sounds ridiculous, and that's what gatekeepers are. They're ridiculous. They're not going to keep you. Look, I tell you what, they can keep all the gates they want. You show up to Disneyland trying to get a Star Wars ticket, they ain't going to stop you from it.
That's right. Exactly.
You show up to Sabi's workshop, they ain't going to be waiting outside like, no, you don't get to build a lightsaber. Like, no. If anything, they probably get beat the hell up by everybody else there. Because Star Wars fans have a lot of hidden aggression now.
It's true, Joe. It's why I work out, because I would be really angry if I didn't, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People need to come to terms with the fact that, like, because no one came out like that. When I say came out of the womb,
right?
Like, I'm sure some people were probably cloned, but no one came out of the tube like that. But, no one came out like that. Like, it's really just this whole thing of, and I know this is getting into the therapy mental health side, but like hurt people.
I love that phrase, hurt people, because it's true. I think, when you look at, there's, again, it sounds like you're very wise about where you hang out in social media and where you hang out online. So you're not exposed to a lot of this stupidity. And I urge you to stay in this.
I used to be. When I was playing football, I was.
Okay. So did you watch social media about you and your team and
it was more like no matter what you would post, if you were losing, it's like, I'm just making something up. Oh, happy birthday to my daughter. You motherfuckers are 0-4. Your daughter should kill herself. Yeah. Yeah. What? Like, it's my daughter's birthday. She, like people, or like, when I was, sometimes you'd even hear it from the stands. Like I remember one time I broke my knee near the end of my career at a home game.
Yeah.
And I heard "Get Up Nigger" from 3 different parts of the stadium.
Jeez.
I'm like,
wow.
What? It's 2019, Shit, am I going to have to go into the back of the training room this time? Okay. There have been times, now granted, I have a special relationship with my emotions because I don't really understand them because of autism. That's where I am on the spectrum. But I still ask myself why I feel a certain way sometimes. Even if I don't know, I still try to identify the emotions. I'm not just, like, for example, if you're one of those people, I used to be one of those people like, I don't even get optimistic anymore. That way I can never be let down. It's like, well, where does this feeling, what emotion is driving this? It's obviously some kind of pain. What are you hurt about? Even when you talk about anger, something you hurt, anger is a response to, it's a response. It's not, you don't just wake up angry,
right.
So I think, like you said, I think, and people try to speak, and once again, I know I'm going to the mental health thing. People try to talk all the time about therapy and how, like, I couldn't do therapy. If we're going to be 100% honest, it takes a special type of bravery to really look deep into yourself and come to terms with the things that you've been, like, trying not to for the past however many years. It's okay to just say, like, therapy's not for me. You don't have to, I'm down in therapy. Like the movies, the Star Wars stuff. Hey, this was not for me. Rogue One was not for me until the end when Darth Vader came through with the lightsaber in the hallway,
Right.
Then it became the greatest movie of all time. No, but I mean, Rogue One was cool. I would say, like, Rogue One just has certain cliches, like Forrest Whitaker's character. I will run no longer. Bro, we got at least a good 20 minutes. You don't need to stay. Like,
I'm so glad. Thank you for bringing that up. I've never brought that up before. I've talked about Star Wars so much over the last couple of years. It's been insane. And I've never talked about that, but I'm with you. Like, dude, you got time. It's not like your leg is broken. There's something laying on top of you.
Just typical black dad. Just leave it alone. I'm just typical ain't shit daddy. I tell you what, he'd have been back if she made it to the draft. No, would have had the hat on and everything. The Los Angeles Stars, baby, we made it. Where you been the last 18 years, Dad? I did that for you so you can get stuff. The force has been with you. Get out of So there you go, comedy too.
That's my girl. That's my girl.
Now, the first pick, the Resistance select, you just see him in the background. So, Jen, how does it feel? Like, who is that man that's just so excited? I don't know who the hell that is. Let's get out of here.
Oh, man.
Rogue One ST round draft pick. First round.
Oh, man. Dude, I'm so glad you're doing comedy because it's good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, and all this is just off the cuff. I haven't even read any material yet.
Well, I think you just wrote something. I'll send you the tape. You can take this and run with it.
I would definitely do some, like, if that would be pretty cool, like doing a stand-up thing just around Star Wars.
Yeah. You should do it at Star Wars Celebration. It's going to be in Anaheim next year. You should be there.
They kick my ass out there. So I'm here to do it before. Who the hell are you?
You just say, hey, I was on Around the Galaxy. And they're going to say, who? What?
No.
Oh, that guy? No, we don't want that guy.
Like, oh, yeah, come on in, What about my friend Joe? Oh, no.
Not him.
There's enough color in the galaxy right now. No, I'm just...
See, I think Boyega would not be happy with that point of view.
Why not? I think Boyega would have laughed at that. And he would probably, how that's hilarious. But what's really funny is how these angry right afterward. But I think he would have laughed at that.
No, I think he would have laughed at that. I think he would have, yeah.
Hey, John, you want to hang back for a minute, buddy? Look, we just noticed, we talked to George, there are no basketball courts in the galaxy. No one shoots dice. I don't know, man. Well, what about Lando? Look, we get one every 3 decades, all right? So just sit here in this Stormtrooper outfit. We'll figure it out. Next movie comes around. Well, what am I supposed to be doing? Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Next movie comes around. Hey, go kill all the Stormtroopers that you knew before with no remorse. Right?
See, there you go. That's the story problem right there. 100%.
Like the third movie was really the second movie was really Finn. His arc was like, oh damn, war is bad. And I thought he figured that out in the first movie when he decided to leave the clone troop.
Yeah. It's bad. It's really bad. And then the third movie is like, but fuck it, I'm going to shoot everybody
Kill
anyway.
them all. You watch Rick and Morty by any chance?
Oh man, I love Rick and Morty.
Remember when it was last season's last episode? Like, blow them all up. It's just like Star Wars. Give them a little yeehaw. Yeehaw. Because that's how Star Wars, you're killing thousands of people. It's all the explosions, the mystery, the artisticness of it all, you know.
Nope, but we're literally blowing up planets, like entire planets.
I'm not going to lie. I love, like, I identify with the Sith and everything.
Yeah.
And they believe in slavery. I don't know why I just said that. I don't know what that had to do with anything. Now Joe Barksdale believes in slavery. Now I am
great. There it is. There's the tweet. There it is.
Joe Barksdale, quote, "I'm looking for revenge on Around the Galaxy podcast."
How did this happen?
This
music career was going great. Comedy was starting to happen for me.
And then this
on this show, and geez, it all fell apart. That's all right. I'll edit this down to like a minute and a half. It'll be fine.
What's this, a trailer? Look, man, we'll give the Patreons access to this. That's the only way you can hear it. I need to know you invested in me, all right? I need to know you here. I'm not putting this out there for everybody.
You want the good stuff, you got to pay for it.
You could make this an exclusive. People would probably be so pissed, but you could make this an exclusive interview. I'm just saying. Or we could have like a quick 10-minute discussion about Star Wars. Now, if you want to know what happened the other hour and a half, I'm going to need $15. Like, here's my Venmo, my Cash App, my Bank of America, log in, just send me the monies. And I also need you to sign this non-disclosure form. Neither of us give a flying, flipping, Flandalorian fudge cracker. Some Star Wars curse words for you there. No, I'm just playing.
I'm so happy we had this conversation. This is great. Do you want? I have right here in my hand. I have a 10 question segment where I ask you sort of like 10. No, but they're like Star Wars questions now.
No. I started laughing because I remember, like, you sent those. I was like, oh yeah, he did send those too. I'm sorry. Have we gone too far?
No, hey, listen. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm hoping that my show goes a little bit beyond Star Wars, and this went way beyond it, which is awesome.
Okay, yeah, we started out on Dagobah, we ended in Georgia. Like,
This is Stephen Kent, and you're listening to Around the Galaxy.
All right, I'm going to do this 10 question thing. It's like inside the actor studio. You can give short answers. You can give long answers. You can do whatever you want. Look, I'm not going to judge you on the answers, but somebody will. I guarantee it. So, and I'm going back to
listening. If you judge me, I don't care.
No, he doesn't care. I don't care. That's why I love having people like Joe on the show, because I don't care. Judge away, man. You know what? I was talking to somebody. I was texting with a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about how people are like so concerned about, trying to make sure that they think about how is this going to be perceived. That's a hard way to live your life, right? To like really think all those extra steps in the chess game of lights. Just be yourself, just have fun. And if people don't like it,
people just need to be more comfortable with themselves. You listening to this, you need to be more comfortable with yourself, because if you were, you wouldn't be trying to put up this facade. And I think more people need to understand that nobody cares.
It's true.
Like, like you hear people, I will go to the gym, but people stare. Man, them people ain't staring at you. They ain't come to the gym to look at you. They came to the gym to get themselves together, and they probably think you staring at them.
It's right. It's true.
I will pursue this passion, but, I don't know. I'm going to tell you right now, as a former professional athlete that went into music, spoiler alert, it does not work out well for us.
Yeah, it's a tougher game, right?
You can't care. If I cared, I'd probably still be doing music. I'd probably be a little bit more hurt though, because every time I play music for people who knew I played sports and hadn't heard the music, the first response is, "Hey, this is actually good."
Right?
Come on, bro, what you?
Yeah. I read, I think it was an interview with you, or maybe it was a tweet or something, where you said something like, you might notice that I don't talk a lot about the football thing, and it's probably, I didn't quite understand it at first, but it's probably because you don't want people to start there, right? You don't want people to be like, this guy,
Football was never in my, like, football for me I started out in engineering. So this is where all the nerd stuff comes in. So I started out in engineering. Like, I had engineering scholarships and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I went to this engineering camp. I wasn't diagnosed autistic till like a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up getting kicked out of this camp for what I know now was just autistic, like not knowing the situation, that kind of thing.
Right.
I needed something to do over the summer. So after berating me and making me feel like, life would be better if I didn't exist, my parents were like, well, you got to get out the house and do something. You can't just sit in here all day. And I'm like, well, I recently seen Remember the Titans. I'm a really big believer. I've always been a big believer in the human race. As in, just like we're all human beings. If the aliens touch down tomorrow, we all sitting at the same lunch counter in the 60s now. But you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I even have jokes about the civil rights movement. Like, they're not bad jokes. It's just more like I look at it from different points of view that people will never think. Like when Martin Luther King was assassinated, like they had to check out of that hotel. What if Martin Luther King was the one that was supposed to pay for it? Are you going to rob a dead man to pay for your room? Like, how does that work? The movement is alive, and so is this room service order. Can you put that up now? I'm sorry.
Now I know why you like Bill Burr, because that's like, but it's to your point, like you got to be yourself, like, and I think if everybody's real, you do laugh at things that some other people might be like, that's not something, and if you don't laugh at it, that's cool. That's not your joke. Yeah. But and again, it's just like Star Wars or music, right? I didn't love The Rise of Skywalker. All right, wasn't for me. I'll move on. That's cool. I didn't like your joke. All right, that's fine. You're not a bad person. I just didn't like it. So
I'm not gonna stand on this hill and try to demonize you. Did y'all hear what the fuck he just said about Martin Luther King? I'm sorry. Can I curse on this podcast?
You absolutely can.
Okay, I was trying to avoid the F-bomb. Like I hadn't dropped all the other words already.
I had Charlie Benante, who was the drummer from Anthrax, on last year, and it was so funny because I did put a disclaimer at the front because sometimes some people listen to it because I've had all kinds of guests. And Charlie emailed me afterwards. He's like, "Man, I had no idea I said that word so often." I was like, yeah, "It's all good, man. It's all good."
It's all good. They cursed in Star Wars. Somebody, Dank Ferrick, all right?
Hey, there you go. See? All right. That's awesome.
Honestly, that's why the comedy works, because all these people come out on stage too.
I just saw you're doing some. Is it a charity performance you got coming up? I thought I saw it somewhere on Twitter.
Oh, no, this is my first real big time comedy performance. My first feature spot.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm doing 15 minutes, and the show sold out. So
that's
it's
great.
This Saturday, and it sold out. So we're doing Saturday and Sunday now. So I'm gonna kill. Like on the stage, like do very well. I'm not gonna
right. You're not
okay. Yes, but I can actually send you the audio for it.
Oh, that'd be great.
You want? Okay,
I would love that.
I'll get your number before we log off. Actually,
yeah,
put it in the chat so everyone can have it.
Yeah, I'll just my personal mailing address, and it'd be great. I won't get any letters or threats, which would be great. But no, that's great though. I'm excited for you, man. And again, it's it's funny. It's like I think people who like have any sort of creative outlet, like I mean, I write, I play music. I'm not funny enough to go on stage, but I do enjoy. I love like laughing and that sort of thing.
Don't ever say that to you. Don't ever say that about. Don't limit yourself. Because I'm gonna tell you, as someone who's been at these open mics, you don't know how. Look, man, because and this is just me being objective. There are people who show up to open mics and get no laughs, like are shitty, and they book gigs.
Yeah.
So you got to be funnier than them, is what I'm saying.
All right. Well, that's it. This weekend, I'm going to the open mic. I'm bringing my 15 minutes, and I'm going. Actually, I get 5 minutes, right?
Oh yeah, I'm about to say. I think you only get 5 minutes.
I don't even know if I'm going to get 5, Joe. They're going to be like, "Oh, that no."
Comedians are usually supportive of new comedians until they find out they suck, and then after that, it's like.
How did you decide that you wanted? I mean, other than the fact that you're just clearly naturally funny off the cuff, like what made you decide I'm going to do the comedy thing?
COVID. My wife, well, my teammates have been telling me since high school, college, the NFL. Like I was always, one of the funniest cats in the room. But what people didn't know was that comedy was always like a shield for my emotions and how I really felt. Like my therapist, I got an appointment with my therapist in an hour, and she'll tell you, like, we'll get into talking about something, real deep or painful. Boom, jokes, more jokes.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're actually funny jokes, it's always been a defense mechanism for me. And I think too, like, growing up how I did, and even now with the mental illnesses and autism and that kind of stuff, if I didn't know how to laugh, I'd be dead. Yeah. Shit, I know how to laugh, and I was still almost dead a couple times. Like, I tried a couple times, so.
Yeah.
But COVID happened. Couldn't perform with music. I mean, you're making music and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I'm like, shit, ain't nothing else going on. And I went to a comedy show. And this, actually, I can tell you, this happened. I went to a comedy show in January of this year. Mm-hmm. The headliner was so bad. Headliner was a black dude. He did so bad that I was embarrassed to be black by the time he was done. And I'm going to tell you, I've only been embarrassed to be black a couple times. Another time I was embarrassed, we were in London, England, playing a game against the Patriots. One of my teammates walks up to the woman at the counter and says, hey, the TV, there's something wrong with the TV, man. It's in this weird language. And the woman behind the counter is like, oh, I can help you out. Is it in Japanese, Chinese, is it Korean? Because, they got all the languages over there in London on the TV. Yep. And he's like, no, it's English. It's just this weird accent, like they're saying it wrong. And I'm like, did we just come to the Mecca of the English language and tell them that they're saying it wrong? This is why people don't help us fight the terrorists. Like, this is why. Like, this is why people get mad when people start protesting for Black lives. Because of people like you. Like, there's even black comedians like Black Lives Matter. But do they all? Like, and these are black comedians saying this. Like, do they all? Because I got a cousin who ain't shit. Like. But that's what happened. He did so bad that I was like, oh, this dude's fucking Richard Pryor's probably rolling over his grave right now. Right. Well, as much as he can because of the MS. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But and I was like, I legitimately, the thought in my head was like, I could do better than this today. Yeah. I went to an open mic the next day, and I actually did do better than that guy. And that was in February, and it's July. The power of autism, you can pick it up fast. Yeah, you could. So do you have, like, do you find that, did you have trouble learning skills, or did you just pick things up real quick? If you like, is it like things you liked? So yeah, if I want to do it, like I even know how to fight with a lightsaber. You want to see one of my lightsabers? Yeah, sure. I got this from Saberforge. It was modeled after Star Killers from. Yeah. So how many lightsabers? How many lightsabers do you have? Roughly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 31, 32. Holy cow! Wow. That's your collection, though, man. That's what you collect, right? I mean, you can see I got the helmets. That's my thing, and yeah, everybody. Has always been too big. I would collect helmets too if I had this weird ass body. One size fits most. One size fits most. You're the one that's not in the most, right? Exactly. Hey, would you like this Kylo Ren helmet? No, I don't want to hate myself today, right? I would like it, yes, but is it going to fit? No. That thing will come down to probably about right here. Are you Kylo Ren's specially able brother? I am. Kylo Ren with a handicap sticker. Okay, I'm done. Parking his fighter in the blue spots at the mall. See, now you got me doing it. Now you're getting me. Now my audience is going to hate me now. Not just you. They're going to hate me too. No, nobody's going to hate anybody. Nobody's going to hate anybody. And if they do, fuck them. There's the tagline. There's the tagline to the show right there. Yeah. Fuck them. Like, anything you do is going to piss somebody off. Because even if you step outside the Star Wars fan base, there's people. You like Star Wars? Yeah, I do like Star Wars, all right? I'm sorry your daddy wasn't at home with you. Don't take it out on me. You would have loved it, by the way. I just can tell. But now you'll never know. Now you'll never know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Barksdale, and you're listening to Around the Galaxy.
All right, I'm going to hit you with these questions. What? Okay. I'm just jumping in now, Joe. I'm taking as little control as I have left of this show right now.
I am so sorry.
So again, hey, don't be sorry. This has been like one of the most entertaining hours I've had in quite some time. Okay. What is your favorite Star Wars movie, TV show, or book?
Oh, the Clone Wars. It's not even a question. Wait, I can choose the whole series, right?
You can choose.
Okay.
Yep.
The Clone Wars, like. Dave, we love you so much. Don't ever change. Stay golden, pony boy. Stay golden.
Did you watch it from the start, or did you I missed like the first couple seasons. Actually, I didn't start watching it until it came back to Netflix, actually, because it just was not on my radar at the time.
So we are the same. I found out about the new season that was coming out, the season 7, and that's when I started watching it.
Oh yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah.
So we're the same in that, because I missed it too. Like, I don't watch much TV or anything like that, but I heard a bunch of my friends talking about it. Kevin actually brought it up too. And I'm like, oh, check it out.
It's great. And it's one of those things that's just, you can't believe how much lore and story is packed into every one of those shows. It's so good. It's so much fun.
And they do a really good job of like just doing it artistically. The whole show not tell, like we talked about. And,
yep.
Combining everything. It's like, oh, look, there's a Jedi. I mean, I think I could be 100% wrong, but I believe that the Clone Wars was like at least some pleasing amalgamation of what George Lucas thought that they were when he first wrote that line in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, these are just my thoughts, opinions. Don't cancel me.
No, and it's interesting too, because I always talk about how, because I saw it in 1977. And I remember my dad and I talking about like, what was this Clone Wars thing? Like that we like got into that line. And, if you made a movie now, he would say, my father didn't fight in the Clone Wars. And then there'd be like this 10-minute, like a montage of the Clone Wars. Yeah. But it was so much more impactful that way. And to your point, the style is so cool. Like that took me a little bit of time to get into, was the style. Years ago when I first saw, pictures and stuff from it, but it's really cool. I mean, and are you watching Bad Batch as well? Did you stop watching it? Did you get to the point where
it just got to a point where I wasn't even looking forward to the next episode. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's just like we talked about. Like I'm interested in, the clones, but not this interested. Like I'll be back. I will watch the season finale for sure.
Right. You'd be cool if somebody was like, so yesterday on Bad Batch, this is what happened. You'd be like, all right,
good. What happened actually?
Yeah. So far. Well, if you listen to my show, Disturbances in the Force, every Saturday morning, I give it like a 2-minute synopsis of every episode as part of my news show.
Perfect. No, I said that's going to be how I watch it.
Oh, okay. Good. Excellent.
2 minutes in and keep it moving,
That's right. Yep.
But so I will say, I do dig the show.
Yeah.
And obviously I love Star Wars. And I don't have beef with the show. I mean, if I'm being completely transparent, there's just no Jedi or Sith, and I'm kind of like...
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said that at the outset, right? That's your Star Wars. That's your thing. Yeah. And if it's not there, it's not there. So that's totally cool.
But I'll still talk Bad Batch with anybody, like the episodes I have seen, because some people, like we talked about, you don't like the Bad Batch, get them off the show. Get out of here. We're done. Thanks for showing up, everybody.
But yeah, and again, that's like Resistance. A lot of people love Resistance. I actually interviewed a guy who played Kaz on the show, and I tried my best. I never got into it. I did. I really did. But
oh my God. I don't know what it is about I tried my best. Whatever you because I have a joke about that. Like pretty much something bad happened and I'm like, man, I felt really bad because like I tried my best. Like I tried my best, to give a fuck and I just couldn't. Like
that's exactly it, Joe. Yeah, you got the read. You got the read from it. That's perfect.
Yeah. Now I haven't seen it. But based on that, I tried my best. I don't think I'm gonna.
That's not a ringing endorsement. Like you're not going to see that on like the DVD box. They're going to be like Resistance. I tried my best, Pete Fletzer. That's not going to make the.
We should definitely create like a fake movie poster or something, and that should like I tried my best in quotation around the galaxy. Like something that everyone universally loves, like Revenge of the Sith. I tried my best. Actually, that could be a shirt. I tried my best.
It's going to be a shirt, and I'm going to send you one. And you're if TeePublic makes a shirt for dudes your size, I'll send it to you.
I've actually gotten down to a 2XL.
All right.
I'm tired of being I got tired of wearing 3Xs. I don't know, like being an offensive lineman, everybody expects you to be fat. It's like you get tired of the big fat sloppy. So question 2.
Yeah, let's get. This is thank you for coming to the last ever episode of Around the Galaxy. No. So question 2 is, what is your favorite non-Star Wars movie?
About Time. It's either About Time or Hocus Pocus. One of those two. I know. Two.
The Hocus Pocus, like the movie with Bette Midler?
That's right.
Okay.
That's
All
right. I love Matthew said that's what should be on the box for the original Star Wars holiday special. Hey man, I don't know who you. I don't know who you are, but you good people, man. I like you. Shout out to Matt. I don't even know if you like me calling you Matt. Shout out to Matthew. Shout out to you, Matt. But if I had to pick one, I would say About Time, just because I think as a movie, I know I already said there's no such thing as perfect, but when you talk about the way that they blend the comedy and the emotions and the plot, I think in my eyes it's airtight. And it's just well put together. You can tell everyone in it took it seriously. It made me cry.
Yeah.
But so does my life. So, I don't know how you know.
You better say she's perfectly put together. That's all I'm saying. You got to. Yeah.
But no. But yeah, no. It's
About Time. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pull it up this weekend and check it out because I haven't seen it in a while. So
actually, the reason General Hux is the lead actor.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Cool.
That one's for you, Matthew. I'm just giving you a little bit of Star Wars trivia. If anybody ever asks.
Right. Name the actor in both About Time and Star Wars. Now, Matt, he's going to bring that up at the bar tonight. He's going to go out. He's going to bring that up. He's going to win himself a free drink.
He's going to trick somebody into thinking it's John Boyega. Yeah, just see the janitor in About Time? Like John Boyega, uncredited role. Some random. You see the bell hop, the barkeep? Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Question 3 is, are you an Imperial or Rebel?
Imperial.
Yeah. All right.
It's bad. I would love to say oh, I'm a rebel, but people don't know what the hell they're doing. They need somebody to lead them. Imperial. Imperial. Hopefully one day with years of therapy and trauma management, I don't know. I'm a very angry person. So I believe in emotion. I believe in, and I know that Imperial and Rebel is just like Sith or Jedi. So
next question. What is your favorite Star Wars sound effect?
That's the sound effect.
Yeah.
Sounds like a squirrel has gas. But yeah, no, I don't know what it is. It used to be my text alert until it kept it gets me excited. So, you can imagine it's 1 a.m. Oh, now you're not going to sleep. Now you're up watching Star Wars.
That sounds a lot like the one. This is my total deep nerd level. That sounds like the sound from Empire when he ignites it against Vader. It's it's aggressive, but it's still that classic sound. So,
and when he tried to kill Kylo Ren in his sleep like a punk, I saw it. Look, y'all. Y'all need to. We're gonna talk about the whole story. I understand he showed up in the Mandalorian and looked like Jesus incarnate, but still, this man. Let's never forget this man tried to kill one of the greatest Sith Lords ever in his sleep. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just nuts.
No, that's awesome. I love it. Okay, who's your favorite droid?
I like the sassy droid from from Rogue One.
K2SO.
Yes. I'm a big fan of sass. Also, the droid that Taika Waititi played in The Mandalorian, the assassin droid. That thing was legit. The droid from I think she died though, but the droid from Solo.
Oh yeah,
that was dating Lando. I thought she was hilarious. Just like K2SO, they are the same for me.
Yep. Yeah.
I love sassiness. If y'all can't tell, shout out to Matt, man. Matt's still dropping comments. I'm sorry, this is your show. I'm gonna be quiet.
No, hey, that's why they're here. If you want to,
shout out to Matt, man. All y'all who listening right now, you need to have Matt. Has Matt been on the show before?
He's not been on the show. I should have him on the show. I should.
Man.
He's been around for a while, man. He's a good dude. He's
bring Matt on one day, have him as a guest host or something. Matt, I'm gonna hit you up later. You can Venmo me for all this. I'm Matt's agent. If you haven't,
yeah, I was just gonna say, man, what's your cut? Jeez,
100%. Matt's working for experience. No,
oh man, that's the musician's creed, right? You can come play my club for experience. And I love
maybe.
Yeah, I love the comeback to, I'm having a party at my house this weekend. You can bring all the beer and food you can. And they're like, oh, how much are you going to pay me? And you're like, well, people get to experience your bar at my house, so you can working for experience. All right, so next question is, what spaceship or vehicle would you most like to own? And I'm going to pull the Millennium Falcon off the table because everybody says that.
Oh yeah, no, honestly, I was never a fan of the Millennium. I thought it was too big and unwieldy.
Yeah.
But that being said, as I'm about to name this big unwieldy ship a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Just because, like, if I'm on a spaceship, I may as well own one that I can feel safe in forever.
And you could live there. You don't even need to.
Yeah.
It's
and I'm a huge introvert, so yeah, that'd be. You know what? Let me see if any Star Destroyers are available. No,
go check Craigslist. I'm sure there's. Do people still use Craigslist? I don't even know. I don't know. Facebook Marketplace, maybe. I don't know. But like you were saying, the Star Destroyer is big enough. You could have like a whole floor to yourself. You could have your music studio in there. You could just like do the whole thing, man.
You can come live on the Star Destroyer too.
And we'd never see each other because it's so freaking big.
Exactly. We have weekly podcasts trying to find each other on the street. Hey, I'm in section B4. I'm in Z12, brother. I'm sorry.
You know what? Forget it. It's too far away. I'll see you next week. All right. Porg, Ewok, or Jar Jar Binks? Who's your favorite of those three?
I'm going to say Jar Jar Binks just because I want to piss everybody off. No, at this point, I do dig Jar Jar Binks. And after learning about the story of, the actor tried to almost kill himself. Yeah.
Yep.
I never had that kind of beef with Jar Jar Binks. And honestly, if you take Jar Jar Binks out of that movie, it's not the same. Like, I think it's weird, but if you go back and watch it, I'm like, yo, Jar Jar kind of holds this. He's the connecting fabric.
He is. Yep. Yeah. If they don't run into him on the planet, they don't find the Gungans. They don't find their way over to the Queen. And yeah. If you could be any character in Star Wars, who would it be and why?
All right, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna say, damn, both of these dudes die actually. I mean, everybody dies, right? Sorry, the existential around the galaxy, Kylo Ren. Just because when you talk about, I think, out of anything else, I think that was a fantastic story arc, and there's a lot, there was a lot in there. Anakin Skywalker was a close second, but I'm not trying to be in pain for most of my technically, I haven't been paying for most of my life. I don't know. Between Anakin Skywalker and Kylo Ren, either of those two, for obvious reasons, they were both like incredibly strong and gifted. Everybody around them respected them, and the ones that didn't, they killed them. So
there you go. And that's all you need to know about Joe Barksdale.
That's it. We can end it right there. Call the police.
Original trilogy, prequels, or sequels? What's your favorite of the three?
I'm actually saying sequels, because they encompass everything else. I know that's a cop-out, but, they encompass everything.
That's cool. That's a fair answer. It's interesting because every time I ask that question, I think I know what they're going to say, and I'm almost always wrong, which is great.
And like you said, I was also a fan of the story in The Last Jedi, too.
Yeah.
Because, it made sense. Like, as much as people want to talk about, the Jedi were the reason that Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader in the first place.
Yep. Yeah.
They turned him to the dark side as much as he turned to the dark side. It was a 50-50 thing.
That's a great way to look at it. And the other thing that I think is so interesting about Last Jedi is people whose biggest complaint about Last Jedi is that's not what Luke would do. That's not my Luke Skywalker. It's like, you know what? That's the point of the movie. You have become what the point of the movie is.
Well, there's people like that in real life. Like, I remember I was at a Bible study one time with the, when I was playing football professionally, and it got into the discussion of like Jesus being Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, Jesus, Jewish person, considered, person of color. He was, couldn't have been white because he was out in the sun all that time. And this dude just leaned back like, not my Jesus.
My Jesus is the beautiful white man with the long hair in my church. That is my Jesus.
That same Jesus that never had any controversial opinions, thoughts, or statements.
Right.
Like, got some nails on a cross. That guy.
That guy. Pick a number. Sorry, you got it. But lucky, hey, it's Easter, so everything will be fine. So
there you go. It's Easter.
I don't even know. Final question is on this list is, what's your favorite Star Wars quote?
Do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah.
Second favorite quote, unlimited power. I'm laughing, but I'm serious. I don't know what it is. Because it's like, help me, I'm about to. It's like, whoa.
Well, Joe, I took up way too much of your time, man. I appreciate this. This was so much fun. I haven't laughed this much around the galaxy in a long, I don't think maybe ever in 127 episodes or whatever. This was so much fun, dude.
I tried my best.
Where can people find you online? Where can they keep up with you?
JoeBarksdale.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Go to JoeBarksdale.com. You can see all the socials from there, but I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My wife's been trying to get me into TikTok. I don't think that's happening. Kevin also, it's not happening, all right? There's no TikTok. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And there's probably going to be a TikTok one day, but that's not the point, all right?
I started a TikTok because Kevin Cabral actually was the guy when he was on my show. He was like, you need a TikTok. I'm like, I'm not doing dances or anything.
Yeah.
But I just put clips from the show. I'll pick, you'll find some funny stuff from this episode up on TikTok. You'll be able to find it there when I go through this. And
stop speaking that into my life. See,
dude,
when you eventually log on,
you'll do it. Yes, you will.
You're right.
So, but Joe, thank you so much, man. This was a ton of fun.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry that I had so many different things to say that didn't have anything to do with Star Wars.
Man, no, I'm really glad we connected. Well, that wraps it up for this episode of Around the Galaxy. If you had fun, please like, subscribe, share, and review it. If you really had fun and would like to be part of the live virtual audience, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/ATGcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter or all your social media at ATGcast, and go to our website, atgcast.com, for more information about the show, merch, and all kinds of great links. Around the Galaxy is copyright 2021 Pete in the Seat Studios, and our music is by the band Silver Colored Knob, which can be found wherever you find music.